grandpa stole his first buggy in 1892. I met your grandma pig slopping in 46.
Oh, every Christmas we'd visit my Uncle Fred in prison.
And you have found us, America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes, and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. And this segment of the show is brought to you by LegacyTree.com. Two intriguing guests on the show today. One of them is the PR guy for the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org, Jim Power. Jim and I were having lunch in Boston not long ago, and he told me about the discovery of one of his ancestors that ran with the Dalton Gang. And all the things he's into researching that right now. He's going to fill us in on his latest discoveries with it and his family connections. Can you imagine that? I mean, most of us say, oh, we've got to find somebody who's really cool, a president or somebody who's done something great. No, he's got himself a Wild West outlaw. So we'll hear his story coming up. And then later in the show, we're going to talk to Janet Havorka from my friends at FamilyChartMasters.com and Genealogy.coach. What do you do when you get stuck? I mean, all of us reach points where we have that brick wall come up. What can we do to try to break that thing down? Janet's got some tips for you coming up later in the show. Also this week, by the way, in our Extreme Genes Patrons Club members-only podcast, we're talking to Dr. Scott Woodward about the beginnings of DNA research. He is one of the pioneers in the field. He was doing this back in the 1980s and 1990s. He'll tell you on that podcast about how it all got started and where he thinks it's going in the not-too-distant future. And by the way, if you'd like to become a member of our Extreme Genes Patrons Club, it's easy to do. It actually costs you less than a nice juicy hamburger every month. So check it out. Go to patreon.com/extremegenes or just click on Patrons Club on the extremegenes.com website. Right now, let's head out to Boston and get David Allen Lambert on the line from the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org. He's the chief genealogist. How are you, David?
Hey, I'm back in Beantown after being up in Maine and getting a chance to meet some of our listeners of the podcast with the Maine Genealogical Society's annual meeting. I was up there to be their keynote and got to meet a lot of our listeners. I didn't know that we had so many in Maine.
Isn't that great? So shout outs to Maine.
Exactly. Speaking of conferences, one of the conferences I love is RootsTech. And, of course, RootsTech 2018 will be February 28th to March 3rd, 2018. And registration just opened this week, so some of our listeners, maybe they might want to come out and see us. I'm giving a couple of lectures. How about you? What are you doing?
Yeah, I've got a couple of them as well. Going to be talking about doing old-fashioned research, doing it the old-fashioned way without the Internet. How do you do that, and why would you want to do that? And I'll also be talking about collecting your ancestors. We've talked about that on the show quite a bit. We'll give you some how-tos on that, what to look for, and how to set it up. Set up your little traps on the Internet to find some of these things.
Excellent. Well, I know that I'm going to try to sneak away to attend a couple of your lectures while I'm there. Well, I'll tell you, we always talk about the wonderful news in genealogy, but sometimes we get roadblocks, and sometimes it's by government. And right now, Reclaim the Records is very active on social media because the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene is proposing sort of a embargo, if you will, on access to records. So if a birth occurred within the last 125 years or a death occurred within the last 75 years, with a potential change to 50 years, now being proposed to shut off access to records.
Oh, my gosh. Now, this is unbelievable to me, first of all, because these are public records. They're using the excuse that this will have to do with ID theft and the like. But, I mean, how many people live to 125? I don't think we've ever had one that I'm aware of, certainly out of one specific place. I'm sure Brooke Gans over at Reclaim the Records is going to be all over this with her attorneys and people involved in that effort.
Well, I can tell you that genealogists are always on the lookout for this type of legislation to close out records. So I tip my hat to Reclaim the Records in their efforts. Sometimes genealogy, you have to dig a little deep. This time it's 100 feet in the water off the Belgian coast. An original World War I U-boat has been located in pretty good shape. In fact, the German government believes that the 23 crew members are still in the vessel, and hopefully bodies will be recovered for proper burial. It's amazing. Over 100 years ago, this vessel went down.
Wow, and they'll certainly have the crew records for this vessel, but they could also do DNA and then try to identify who was who.
Exactly. So it's amazing. I'm sure there are family members that are going to finally get some closure after a century or more. The next story pushes ahead with a different war. This is World War II, and back in 1941, Ralph Henderson heard on the radio that his draft number was read. Well, right after that, his twin brother Boyd decided to enlist as well. Now, here's the thing. They're still alive and just celebrated their 99th birthdays.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations to the Henderson twins.
Exactly. They were born in Aramo, Idaho, and then spent time in the Great Depression living in Pocatello, where they graduated high school 81 years ago.
Unbelievable.
Well, the next story that I have to share, there was a couple that had recently gotten married and had left his camera and other belongings on the seawall, and whoosh, away the water goes. Oh, yeah. This is just instantaneously lost 172 pictures that they had taken of their wedding. Now, here's the catch. A couple of months later, Alex Noble, walking along the beach, finds the camera, posts pictures on the internet, and voila, they are now identified and returned to the happy married couple.
How cool is that? That's Laguna Beach, California. No flood there. It's just the ocean doing its thing.
Just to think, the sand and salt water,
yeah.
But they have them. Every week I like to give a blogger spotlight shout-out, and this week it is to Mags Gaulden, who is known as Grandma's Jeans. grandmasjeans.com/blog. And Mags goes on and talks a lot about DNA. And it's a nice little blog, and I've enjoyed reading it, and I had a chance to meet her at Roots Tech last year, and no doubt she'll be there once again. Hey, don't forget, if you're not an NEHGS member, you can become a guest member for free on AmericanAncestors.org. And if you decide that you're going to join, why don't you use that secret checkout code, EXTREME, and save $20 on your annual membership.
All right. Good to talk to you as always, David. And coming up next, we're going to talk to David's colleague. He's Jim Power from the New England Historic Genealogical Society. He's the PR guy there, and he has quite the story about his ancestor who rode with the Dalton boys. Coming up in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Hi, Genies. It's Scott Fisher, host of Extreme Genes, with an invitation for you to join our brand spanking new Extreme Genes Patrons Club. Now, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is where, for as little as $1 a month, Genies everywhere can take advantage of Extreme Genes rewards, such as early access to our latest podcasts, members-only bonus podcasts, acknowledgement on extremegenes.com, and special monthly live online question and answer sessions with well-known family history experts. Catch visits with genealogy stars such as David Allen Lambert, photo detective Maureen Taylor, DNA expert C.C. Moore, and many other experts and storytellers. If you find yourself craving more stories, more ideas for digging up your dead, more inspiration, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is for you. The rewards start at just $1 a month. Find out more now. Just go to extremegenes.com and click on our special Extreme Genes Patrons Club link at the top right, or go to patreon.com/extremegenes.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com.
You know, I think most people like to find connections to interesting people in their line. And hi, it's Fisher. It's Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com. This segment's brought to you by myheritage.com. You know, as I've gone through my lines over the years, I've run into the fact that, hey, I'm related to 10 presidents, and I descend from somebody from the Mayflower. It's interesting. It doesn't change who you are, obviously, but it makes for fascinating heritage to find your connections to certain historical events. And my good friend Jim Power, he's the marketing guy with the New England Historic Genealogical Society in Boston, Massachusetts. And he and I were having lunch a couple months ago on my visit there. And he started telling me about a remarkable story that tied a family member of his into the old Dalton Gang in the Old West. And this is something you don't expect from somebody in the Boston area. Hi, Jim. How are you?
We're fine, Scott.
And so how was it that you ran across this story? Because this isn't something you grew up with.
No, not directly, Scott. As you may well know, I've been researching my own personal family history for many years now. In my work, working with a good college friend from St. Louis, Missouri, learned by an email that my family power was related to the infamous bandit in the Dalton Gang by the name of Bill Power. And I decided in my own work to pursue that information as best I could. And on various occasions, I've run into evidence that leads me to believe that it could very well be true.
Now, you actually wound up finding a letter that somebody had written back, it appears back in the 70s. It was undated, as I recall. But it went through a branch of your family, and you obtained this through a second cousin. And what did that letter say?
The letter documented oral history related to the entire Power family. This second cousin, with whom I am in contact pretty frequently here, sent me a letter that his father had left him, and it documents a number of facts, and one of them being the sad news that Bill Power, brother of our great-grandfather, was indeed a member of the Dalton Gang and was killed in a gunfight in the state of Oklahoma, as he wrote it, but in fact we know it was the state of Kansas. So here is some evidence that tells us there could be a tie to the situation, but there are obviously some facts within it that are incorrect. Sure. And I think that's always an issue with oral histories and obviously documenting of them.
Yeah, material that's passed down the line. It's kind of like a little game of telephone. Things start getting twisted. Oh, he died in Oklahoma. No, it was in Kansas. Oh, he was this, he was that. But as you got into this, you started to find that there were some more clues. And I love it because the case is not entirely solved. And obviously, since this person died young, he was not married, he had no known children, DNA isn't going to be a way for you to prove this connection to the family. So you really have to kind of build one of those cases with circumstantial evidence. And so let's go into some of that circumstantial evidence as you find out about your family member who was part of the Old West.
Well, at first I didn't believe it, and I never accepted it as being true enough to even pursue. But when I received that letter from my second cousin, the facts his own father had documented, coming from his father, I began to take it more seriously and dived into some research that I was able to do myself. And what do you know, but I received pictures from a Power Family Bible that was in the hands of another branch of the family in Dallas, Texas. And within that Bible were several old tintypes dating back to the late 1800s. One of those tintypes emerged as almost a spitting image, a very similar pose to the photographic records that accompany many narratives of the Dalton Gang, the fact that the Dalton Gang was gunned down in Coffeyville, Kansas in 1892, and the resemblance was just uncanny. So that, again, opened my eyes to the fact that this could be a very credible story. I pursued more research, and by doing so, I found a history of Dickens County, Texas, that informed me that the Power family farm in that county in the late 1800s was very close in proximity to a ranch owned by the Dalton family. So again, I have evidence that there may have been the possibility of acquaintances and, in fact, a connection.
Yeah.
And then further evidence after that shows that another sibling by the name of Richard Power later moved and settled in the Coffeyville, Kansas area, opened 2 businesses. So many, many clues that suggest that the story could have credibility and to follow through and find the truth.
Let's talk a little bit about how Bill Power and the Dalton Gang met their end there in Coffeyville, Kansas, and the photographs that were taken. What was the circumstance that day in 1892?
My understanding from a reading on several occasions, the gang was in competition with Jesse James, and it was an objective of theirs to rob more banks and obtain more money in a single day than Jesse James ever had. So the plan was to rob 2 banks right across the street from each other in the small town of Coffeyville, Kansas. They attempted to do so. In the midst of the attack, they were met by defenders, local citizens, who opened fire on the 5 individuals that composed the gang at that happening, and 3 of whom died immediately. A 4th one died later. There was one survivor, which was Emmett Dalton, one of the 3 brothers involved that day. So it was a gang raid that got national attention, coverage on front pages of newspapers around the U.S. and, in fact, the world, celebrating the fact that 3 of the Dalton brothers were no more, and, of course, acknowledging the fact that 2 others, one of whom was my good uncle, were all dead and soon buried in a cemetery, unmarked grave right in Coffeyville.
Wow. And their photographs, there's actually more than one photograph online that I've seen of that. And you're right, having seen the picture you shared with me, there's huge similarity between this guy that they call Bill Power and your great-great-uncle.
Extreme similarity, and that's what opened my eyes to the fact that this could, in fact, be a story that has some substance. The Power family look amongst the brothers is very similar in terms of facial structure. Of course, it's hard to get through the mustache and the beard on occasion.
Right.
But these 2 and other photos, they're just a very, very close resemblance. So it's just uncanny in that regard.
Now, there are other Power families that are trying to claim kinship to this guy, which I find interesting. But the Power family's it's a big family in that county, right?
In the county of the origin of my family, it is rather small. What occurred is that this branch, father and mother, Richard and Ruetta, moved with all of their children to a county in the western part of Texas, Dickens County, and at one time they comprised about 30% of the total population, and that is around 1880 when the census was done. So it's from there that I imagine the acquaintance was established between the Dalton family in close proximity, and from there perhaps Bill Power, after making the acquaintance as a cowboy with another cowboy, got into these other games, shall we say.
So at this point, basically, your family was the only family in proximity to the Daltons, none of these other branches that are claiming a relationship.
No. The other families that claim a relationship to Bill Power or Bill Powers claim that, first of all, his middle name is Todd, T-O-D-D, so that would differ from the information within our family. And number two, they have a point of origin mostly in Missouri or in Oklahoma. So these are records and research records that I have found online associated with much of the history of the Dalton Gang, etc. I have attempted through various sources to contact historians within those families and have been unsuccessful in doing so. But it's certainly something I would like to pursue.
Sure.
I have even contacted the historians within the town of Coffeyville, Kansas. I've spoken with the director of the museum there, the Dalton Defenders Museum, and in fact the director of tourism about trying to get more information as to the background of Bill Powers, alias Tim Evans, and to try to pursue and connect further with those historians to see exactly who can claim relationships here. That sort of credibility, interesting to have, but the journey of researching and proving is as much fun as the ultimate outcome.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. I wish you luck in your journey here, Jim. How long have you been working on this now?
6, 7 years and bits and pieces, but since your discussion together with me at lunch, I'm more motivated than ever. So yeah. I shall continue, and I'll give you updates as I have them.
Yeah, we'd like to know about that. It's a wild story. It's crazy, and it really does sound like you've gotten the pieces of the puzzle for a great circumstantial case, which is really what most genealogy is if you don't have vital records or church records or something like that, or something that was noted, was killed in Coffeyville with the Dalton Gang. Well, that doesn't exist out there. But you're finding the pieces of the puzzle that really shows this is the guy that had the opportunity to know the Daltons, to ride with them. He was at the right age, the right name, the right place. It's a great story, and I wish you the best of luck in your pursuit.
Thanks so much. It's an exciting adventure, and that's what family history and genealogy is all about.
Exactly.
I'm glad to be on it.
Exactly. Jim Power from NEHGS. Take care, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And coming up next, when you pursue your research and you get stuck, what do you do? Janet Havorka, our next guest, has some ideas for you. Coming up in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks. Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
And welcome back to Extreme Genes, America's family history show, and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. This segment's brought to you by 23andme.com DNA. And you know, it happens to everybody. If you're a beginning researcher, you might not have experienced it yet, or you might have no idea what to do. And I'm talking about when you get stuck. And in the business, it's typically called hitting your brick wall. What do you do when you hit that place? Well, I got my friend Janet Havorka on the line right now. She's from FamilyChartMasters.com. She is the person behind Genealogy.coach. She gives great lectures out there, and getting stuck is never fun, Janet.
It isn't. I've got a few places where I'm stuck as well, and sometimes you've got to just try some new things.
Yeah, you know, I've been stuck on a couple lines for 35 years, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got to say, what advice you've got here for people. I think most people, though, when they get started, they get stuck fairly recently. I would say, like, within the last 200 years, wouldn't you say?
Sometimes. It depends on your family. It depends on the geographical location and the records that are there. Over the last 6 months, I surveyed hundreds of genealogists and asked them what they did when they get stuck. And some of them had really effective ways to deal with it, and some of them didn't. Some of the things that you've probably done, and I've done too, is to put it on the back burner, or just move to another line, or pray for more documents, or to come online, or to be available.
Of course.
Or to ask Facebook even. That's sometimes more running around than help. But some of the more effective things that they talked about was going back and reworking the problem, getting more education, consulting with a professional, or hiring a professional. Sometimes when you're a beginner, those answers that I was getting from people was to try Ancestry, or to go to an archive, or to reach out to cousins, or to go to the family history library, or to try other record types. And those are kind of beginning things still, too.
Of course.
When you're a beginner, you're just still kind of reaching out for other resources. A more advanced genealogist does a more exhaustive search and doesn't really feel like they have a brick wall yet until they've tried some of those resources. So the better you get at it, the more you've tried all those resources, and the more you really are stuck.
You know, I think one of the fun things to do, though, when you're in that situation, the first time I ran into it as a beginning genealogist, I went back to my second grades. I got stuck. It was 8 years. I tried and looked for every document. But when I started pulling the line forward and finding other descendants, and this was really long before the internet became a major factor in genealogy, I started finding people with family Bibles and notes left by great aunts. And all of a sudden, the brick wall went away because somebody had the answer sitting on a little sheet of paper in a drawer at their house.
Absolutely, yeah. Finding more cousins, working it forward. Even looking, sometimes you can look for the people around that person, other family members. That's how we've broken through a few of my brick walls, is looking at the family members and even the neighbors of the people around them and kind of researching them out, finding if they're from the same area, things like that can kind of help you break through some of that. And sometimes it's a matter of analyzing the sources you already have, too, better, and really understanding what's original and what's primary information, what's secondary information, what's derivative. Those things can help you determine if you've mistakenly made some conclusions that are creating a brick wall.
And, you know, we need to also separate out the fact that many beginners copy names from other people's lines in places like Ancestry or MyHeritage, and they don't do their own research. That isn't real research. That's just copying names. You have to really separate. Absolutely. I think it's great to get that information that other people have out there, but you've got to verify it for yourself.
Yeah, you've got to go back to the primary sources and the original sources, make sure that you're taking into consideration the person who created it and their purpose and their reliability. Make sure you go to those sources to verify what's really true. Yeah, that's the mark of a good genealogist. Absolutely.
Well, and I think it's the next step up from people who are just going from, hey, I got my ethnicity results, to, hey, I want to find out about my family, to, wait a minute, do I trust what I'm finding from others? I mean, that's just the next level up.
Yep. You know, you can Google something called the Genealogical Maturity Model. It was written by the Ancestry Insider, and he talks about how people progress through genealogy. He has kind of a scale, and that's a really informative model for things that you could be doing better, getting back to the real sources, going to an archive, not just looking online, things like that. The other thing that we talked about, too, was more education. There's podcasts like yours, of course, that are awesome. There's college courses you can take. There's webinars, online tutorials. There's conferences, of course, and networking. And the other things that you can do is consult with a professional or hire a professional. And there's kind of two ways you can deal with professionals there, too. One is that you can consult with them and get some ideas for you to go work the problem more. There's a couple of places that you can actually get a real professional who knows what they're doing to go through your problem with you and give you some ideas and give you kind of a research plan. I find that that's really useful when I want to do it myself, and it can be less expensive than hiring somebody to go do it for me. One of the places to do that, of course, is genealogy.coach, but there's a couple other places that'll do that for you as well. Give you an idea of where you can go next, and I find that saves me a ton of time and money.
Well, your time is valuable, let's face it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I've actually hired professionals before, I mean, for the real deal, and paid them to do it because I've just reached the point where I say, I need a second set of eyes on this. Somebody who knows what they're doing. Maybe they're more familiar with the area that needs to be researched than I am. And that's been useful for me in the past, not only in trying to open things up, but just by saying, you know what, you're right. There's nothing further to find there. Focus on something else, because sometimes brick walls are pretty solid.
And sometimes they are solid, but I feel more confident about saying, okay, that's a solid brick wall, and I'm just going to set it aside when I've asked somebody who knows more about it to look at it.
Yep.
Even the very best of the very best genealogists don't know everything about every locality.
Nope.
And so there's a lot of humility, I think, that you can do with genealogy. I think, too, some of the misperceptions are that a professional wouldn't know the resources as well as I do, or they're expensive, or they don't really know what they're doing. But really, professionals can save you so much time and money, whether you just ask them for a consultation or whether you ask them to actually go do the research for you. There's some great people out there with good skills, and I think it's a good way to save your time and energy rather than hitting your head against that brick wall.
That's never fun. But, there's no greater thrill in genealogy. I think it's the thing, frankly, that keeps me coming back is when I break through a brick wall and realize, wow, I did it, and look at all that's behind it, because behind these brick walls is a city full of ancestors and stories.
Yes, I know. And sometimes, when I've hired help, too, I don't know what I don't know. And sometimes the littlest hint can just break you right through, and you just get so much further. It's really fun to make those breakthroughs and get going again and find more people and more stories and more interesting things about your past. It's great.
Absolutely.
It's a great, fun hunt, isn't it?
Oh, it's a lifelong thing that engulfs many of us, because it's not that you want to feel that, look at my great ancestor. I mean, some of them are horrible people,
Yeah. But, as we've talked about before.
Yes, as we've talked about before, but the stories are just so enriching. And as we've seen from the studies that have gone on, that children especially get better life skills from understanding what their ancestors have overcome. So there's a genuine practical benefit for families for the long term when you get into this stuff. And breaking down the brick wall, I mean, that's the ultimate puzzle, isn't it? Especially if it takes years.
Really is.
She's Janet Hovorka. She's with Family Chart Masters. Boy, they do some great work. You got to check out what they do. And genealogy.coach. Thank you so much, Janet. Really good thoughts for people and encouragement, too, just to know, you know what? Nobody's alone when it comes to brick walls in your genealogy. You can break through. You can do it. And those are some great tips. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right.
And coming up next, Tom Perry, our preservation authority, with more talk about what you can do to restore your lost photos and documents in a disaster such as has taken place in Florida and Houston. Coming up next in 3 minutes. Well, Genies, my personal family history researcher who sends me new information day and night has sent me some incredible new records and newspaper stories lately. Hi, it's Fisher, and the name of that researcher, by the way, is myheritage.com. It's the hardest working service in genealogy, looking for records of your family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, even while you're sleeping. How does it work? MyHeritage uses hundreds of algorithms to match your ancestors to over 5 billion records from around the world. world, and with 97% accuracy. That means no more wasting time figuring out whether or not a match really is a match. I hear from listeners all the time who are shocked with how much information is accurately found and then passed along. And now MyHeritage will translate your ancestors' names into English or any other language you like from foreign records. In fact, it works with over 40 languages. No one else does this. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned researcher, you need MyHeritage.com.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com.
Legacy Tree Genealogist is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've been working with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins or heirs to property. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest client-rated genealogy firm. Call us toll-free at 1-800-818-1476. Call now or register online to get a free estimate. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research. You enjoy the discoveries. legacytree.com.
And welcome back. America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. This segment of the show is being brought to you by FamilySearch.org. And it's time to talk preservation with Tom Perry from TMCPlace.com. He's our preservation authority. And Tom, it's very bad news. Very sorry to hear this, that the conference in Houston that you were planning to attend and be part of and do the scanning party to help people recover their flooded items down there has been canceled because the hotel's going to be too big of a mess.
Yeah, it's really sad because what happened is they kind of did an initial assessment. I thought, oh, yeah, we can still have everything all cleaned up in time for the conference. And then when they had the professionals come in and look at it, they go, no way, we're not going to be able to have this done until past the end of October. So unfortunately, there's no way they could find another venue in Houston to have the conference, so they've had to just cancel until next year, and it's really sad. We're really upset about it. So we're just trying to do everything we can remotely to help people learn what they need to do to recover documents, to recover birth certificates, photographs, negatives, slides, all these different things. We're going to try and help you remotely and show you some places. You can even go on Facebook and learn some things.
You know, I was just talking about this the other day because I caught a video on YouTube of this family returning to their home in Houston, and it was like under 5 feet of water, so the lower floors were just demolished. But the thing that really got the family the most was when they talked about losing Grandpa's Bible and the photo albums. That was where the real emotion was. The rest they were okay with because they were all okay. They were going to be made whole again, but those things were irreplaceable. And there's so much of that, obviously, not just with Harvey, but with Irma and the hurricanes that are coming behind that. It's just devastating. But it's exciting to see this on Facebook, the Harvey Photo Rescue page on Facebook, where people are exchanging ideas about how to restore things that they've lost in Houston.
Oh, absolutely. There's some great links on it that will tell you how to separate your photos, how to keep them from drying out before you get them separated. There's a lot of really, really good ideas on there, and I would recommend you go there, email and text all your friends with links and tell them about it too. And, you know, no matter which hurricane you're going through, the basic steps are going to be the same. So whichever the 3 hurricanes that we're dealing with right now, this will help you to restore them, let your friends know about it, let your church groups know, because this is a great resource to learn what to do.
And it's interesting. I went through a flood. It wasn't as a result of anything like this. It was just a really nasty rainstorm some time back, and my house was new, and there weren't homes around me so much, so this water funneled into my basement, and I lost some things, some very important things from my historical documents collection and the like, but I had some that were just damaged, and I couldn't throw them out, and for years they sat wrinkled, and it's just tough to look at them. But then I learned about this relaxation process that this local craft store could do. It would relax the paper, and then they could use acid-free glue to put it on this foam core, and it's like new again. And they were like $2 a piece. $2 each, and some of them it restored thousands of dollars in value. And there's no question in terms of, family pictures that this would be absolutely an incredible process to go through to rescue some of these things. But this process is out there. It's highly inexpensive. It's very common, and you can no doubt find it at a craft store near you.
Oh, absolutely. You want to take advantage of things like this because the most important thing which you mentioned, you need to be patient with this stuff too. This isn't something you want to get your photos that are all wet and just rip them apart and just start stacking them around. You need to take your time and do this right because this is a one-shot deal. You do it wrong, and it's gone. So you need to be really, really careful. And as we've talked about on episodes way before the hurricanes ever hit, no matter what you're doing, always scan the photo first before you start taking it apart.
All right, Tom, we're going to take a break, and coming up here in 3 minutes, we're going to talk more about photos and preservation and restoration of damaged photos and papers, too, very important. And just a reminder, by the way, at extremegenes.com, as you see the podcast of this show, you'll find all the links that we're talking about right there. Back in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Genies, it's Fisher with exciting news. The Weekly Genie, the official newsletter of Extreme Genes, is here. It's your Monday morning briefing on what's happening in the world of genealogy and family history and on Extreme Genes. Get all the details of jaw-dropping stories of discovery and keep up with the latest techniques in family history research. Get to know more about your favorite Extreme Genes personalities, and it's free. Sign up for the Weekly Genie now at extremegenes.com or the Extreme Genes Facebook page. And when you do, you'll receive David Allen Lambert's top 10 tips for beginning genealogists from the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. Sign up today for the Weekly Genie. We are back back talking preservation on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and ExtremeGenes.com. My name is Fisher. This guy is Tom Perry from TMCPlace.com. He's our preservation authority. We've been talking about all the trials and tribulations for those in the paths of the hurricanes and natural disasters happening right now. There is a Facebook page called Harvey Photo Rescue for Texas. Obviously, all the same principles would apply there for Hurricane Irma.
Oh, absolutely. Another good site you can go to goodlifeorganizing.net, and they've got all kinds of wonderful things to teach people about. For instance, one myth that you need to kill right now is don't put them in your dishwasher.
What?
Seriously, do not put these in your dishwasher, because what will happen when all the water comes and rises up, it's hooked to your plumbing, and even though it's turned off, the water's going to rise through your toilet, it's going to run through your pipes, and it's going to fill your dishwasher with dirty water. So the only way this would work is if you have one of those roll-around dishwashers that aren't permanently plugged to plumbing that you actually have to hook up yourself. It would be a complete waterproof tank. However, if it's hooked to plumbing, do not do this. Another quick thing you can do, too, if you can't get all of your documents, your birth certificates, and they're damp, put them in the freezer. And people think, well, what? The freezer? That could actually make it worse because it's going to expand. Well, it's the lesser of evils, because the worst thing that's going to happen to your photos and your documents is you're going to get mold on them and things like this, especially if dirty water's gotten on them. So by freezing them, it's stopping the molding process. And when you do freeze them, don't freeze this huge, big, hefty bag of them. Do separate Ziploc bags of them so you can do one at a time. Like it might take you months. It could take you a year to get all your stuff, and you don't want to pull out this big, hefty bag and do like 1 inch worth of photos, and you've got this whole photo album in there, too. So do it small pieces like you would do if you go to Costco and buy a whole bunch of pickles. You want to put them in small little containers and use them as you can.
Oh, my gosh.
The best. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. But do not put them in your dishwasher. And when you are drying them, you need to let them dry naturally like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, because if you had them with a hair dryer or put them in, as funny as this sounds, a toaster oven or a microwave, this is not a good thing to do. You need to let them dry slowly. But go to these different sites that we've talked to you about. Text me, email me, whatever, and I'm more than happy to help you if you're kind of in a pinch, what you need to do too. But these sites that we've given you, the Facebook page, the goodlifeorganizing.net, these have all kinds of good tips. They have videos that you can watch showing you how to do things. And everybody has different slants of what they want to do. If you're confused, let me know what you've looked at, and I'm happy to answer you at AskTomP on my Twitter feed, and I'll be more than happy to help you in any way I can. Because you need to do this stuff right. It's a one-shot deal. And next time, get everybody prepared, because there's more hurricanes on the horizon.
Boy, that's true. And then we also have to deal with the idea that all this paper has to be restored because they're legal documents for living people in many cases.
Oh, absolutely. Like you have tax returns, especially for a business, you have to keep for so many years. And usually they're printed on both sides, so you have a whole other network of things you need to do. You need to make sure you take care of these things when they're still wet, or learn how to re-wet them so you can take them apart. And this is the perfect reason to have stuff like a shot box, because you can get a program that actually hooks into Evernote, but it's a freestanding program called Scannable. That's SCANNABLE. It will let you scan things, and it automatically crops your photos for you, so you're not spending all this time doing cropping. But if you can get a shot box where you can rent one, buy one, we sell them on the Internet. Call us. We're happy to send you one. This is the best thing to get these pictures when they're damaged. Take pictures of every step, because if something happens, you can go back to the best step and piece the things back together in Photoshop.
All right, Tom. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week.
My pleasure.
Hey, if the show seems just too short for you, we got to get you signed up for our Extreme Genes Patrons Club on patreon.com/extremegenes. Become a member, and you can get our bonus podcast twice a month that covers a lot of ground. And don't forget to sign up for our weekly Genie newsletter as well. You can do that at extremegenes.com and on our Facebook page. Talk to you again next week. Thanks for joining us. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family. All right, Genies, I know I sound like Lieutenant Columbo. I hate to bother you, but there's one more thing. Hey, I got to give a little shout out and thanks to our latest Extreme Genes Patrons Club members on patreon.com/Extreme Genes. Or you can go to our Patrons Club link at extremegenes.com to sign up. Eddie Donlin, Denise Pleasted, Ryan, I don't even know your last name, Ryan, but thanks for signing up. Lynn Clark, Marlene Long, and Pat Richley Erickson, that many people know as the blogger, Dear Myrtle. And what they're doing is signing up for anywhere from $1 to $8 membership level to get mentioned on the show, to receive early access to the podcast, to get bonus podcasts that's for members only, and also our Ask Me Anything live stream. So sign up now and be a part of it. It's our Patrons Club for Extreme Genes. Thanks for listening.